I decided to try this angle for a little bit, just today. Possibly also quick. This is whatever. I go through t-shirts very fast because I wear them a lot. You might have saw that lug net shirt. That was the other video. That was originally black when it was sent to me. Of course, lug net was a million years ago. So I wore it a lot, and then I washed it a lot, and it went to gray. But it still holds up because it still says lug net. I meant to talk about this yesterday, but of course, I talked about a lot of other stuff. But this guy, Space Dart, I wanted to make this is the Belay Space Dart. This is the gray Space Dart. We'll talk about the gray Space. They're identical in build, just like Belay instead of gray. A few things. When I build, it's just like when I talk about this set. Every time I build this set, I put the wings the proper way instead of the way the instructions want them, because that's not the proper way. Again, I don't think it's OCD. It's just me being cute and from my own little world. But I will put the wings on this way because that's the way they're supposed to be. No, there's no other justification besides that's the way I like it. Let me just fix that so it just sits properly. The Space Dart and many other sets that have the 1x1 round brick with fins on it, a la these two things, have to be on the 45 degree, not straight up and down, vertical and horizontal. Since day one, since I first started putting these sets together that came with this piece. That's the way I've always been. I think it looks cooler. I do. And I haven't stopped. When I see in my layout that, because it happens, I'm not mentioning names, but some people sneak into my layout and they change things around. See if I would notice. I have no problem with that at all. This is a quick tangent. At Bricks in the Six and previous shows, specifically Bricks in the Six, people come up that I trust, implicitly trust. Like, trust enough to say, hey, if you're doing a show somewhere in the world that I can't get to and you want to grab these 8 boxes, go ahead. I have instructions to put it together. And you can take it to the show and put it together. If something happens, it's the same thing I said to Josh when he was a little kid and he breaks something. It's freaking Lego. It goes back. I don't have a problem with people touching my stuff. I'm not Iron Man. Stop touching my stuff. I don't have a people who I trust touching my stuff. Now the Publix is something different. And so this is a tangent on a tangent. It was years ago, I think it was BrickFest, it might have been another show. No, sorry, it was the Ontario Collector Con. And I didn't have stanchions. I'm still in development for the stanchions I'm gonna bring to Brickomania, and they might not happen between now and then, but so I was at Ontario Collector Con, and there was this little girl, I don't know how old, we'll say 6 or 7. Could have been younger. I have no ability to judge kids and their age because they're kids. But around 6 or 7, and she kept on coming back to the layout over and over and over again for a while. And I'm busy talking to the public. I'm talking to my wife. I'm talking to the organizers. I'm not paying too much attention to the layout except when somebody wants to talk about it. And this little girl keeps on hovering around the far corner where the habitat is. And then a couple hours later, I'm walking around the layout and I noticed that everybody was removed from the habitat loading dock or train station, the monorail stations. There was not a minifig there. And going, the first thing, and of course, it's sad. Oh, she took them. Then I look a couple feet over onto the actual base plates, and there used to be one Benny there, or whatever. There's a little minifig there, just walking on the moon base on the crater plates by himself, and all the other minifigs were gathered around him in a nice little circle. And she came back, and she says, "I thought he looked lonely." So she brought him company. It's just like, ah. But anyway, I would never, ever lose my crap if there's a kid touching. I would say, please don't. But I would, don't touch my stuff. Kids are kids. That's why I am getting sanctions. but overall, but people like Jeff and Dave and other people touching my stuff, it's not a problem for me. And even if it gets broken, like I've told friends many times, oh, go grab that, and if it breaks, it's Lego, it goes back together. It's not to the disaster that we had with Derek's stuff at the one show, but I've dropped stuff before. Other people have dropped stuff before. People have reached into layout and knocked stuff off before. I've been doing shows for far too long to know that stuff falls off rails when you go reach for something. The train's coming and they're reaching for something and it falls off the rails and it breaks something. It's Lego. It's not diamonds. It's not, what's that? The little grass crystals. I forget. Or it shatters into a million pieces and you're not going to get back together. I've even broken actual bricks. So, but oh well, it's part of life. It's part of for me, it's part of the hobby. No, it's not like I just don't care and break all the bricks you want. No, I try to not break stuff. And so I've said to friends, if you want to borrow something, if you don't want the entire layout, but you want some spaceships for your layout, just ask. I'll lend them to you. And if they come back in pieces, they come back in pieces. That's part of the joy of this. So I personally do not have a problem as long as not a lot of touching and a lot of moving, but every once in a while I'll go to a layout and things move around. So bricks in the 6, a few times I come back to layout after going somewhere else, looking around, whatever, lunch, whatever, and things have moved. I think it's great. Now again, I'm Captain Oblivious here, by the way. So if you're trying to be surreptitious and you move something and think, oh, Dave's gonna notice, I'm not that OCD on my layout. There are a few specific things that I have in my layout that I say, I put that there for a reason. And again, my entire layout, as I said, it's like a snapshot. I want everybody to have a purpose. All the minifigs are doing something. There's something going on. It's not just like, bleh, and there's pieces everywhere and ships everywhere and minifigs everywhere. I want them to look like they're doing something. But because there's a lot going on in the layout, if somebody moves a minifig from there over there, I'm probably not going to notice overall. Unless I think that I have a story in my head for that specific section and that required the 3 minifigs to be there or whatever they're doing, and there's only 2 there when I get for lunch, I might notice that, but again, probably not. So, and the other thing I mentioned for bricks in the 6 is a friend of mine who wasn't a friend until the show, but he's a friend of mine now, came over with his spaceship, his classic space set. He made a little, not a set, but a ship, a mock. And he says, can I just put that on a landing pad and take a picture of it with the layout behind it and kind of thing? I said, not absolutely, 100% absolutely. And I said, you don't even have to ask. If you want to leave it here for the show, like if you have it on display somewhere else and you got the little placard and whatever, you want it over there, absolutely. But if you don't care and you want to leave it here in the layout for the rest of the show, I have no problem with that. I'm just going to remove a 924, which there's 3 more of them in the layout. And you can put your ship there for the rest of the show, or grab it whenever you want. Just come and grab it. Let me know, because I'm going to think somebody else walked off with it, because it's a fantastic looking ship. And I've done this previously too. People at Brick Chicago, whatever, if people bring a set and they want to put it, the very first Brick Fed, I think I had 4 or 5 people brought mocks because they knew I was bringing that, and they said, can I put this in there? Absolutely, 100%, absolutely. Bring your sets, bring your mocks, as long as the scale and it fits. Like it is a classic space diorama, if you want to call it diorama. But so if you bring like a Galaxy Squad or whatever, if it's similar enough, that's fine. But if it's like some big huge crossing 4 base plates, I'm gonna have like that's taking up the layout, and that's where I draw my line. If it's to scale to classic space original, bring it. The other thing is I have it over here, is people were bringing me their minifigs. This is awesome. And they ask, can this be permanently in the layout? I'm gonna put them in a place of prominence. This guy is gonna go in a place of prominence in the layout. So if they or somebody else says, oh, there's that minifig. I mean, this one doesn't have a helmet, so he's not gonna be outside, but he's gonna be inside of the building, but you'll be able to see him from a window. Lovely, I will take good care of that minifig. It'll be in the layout, as far as I'm concerned, until the end of time, unless you want him back. I also got a few other things. I mentioned the other video where I got these kind of appreciation things from various people in clubs that I will somehow incorporate into the layout going forward. So there will always be there going forward, because this is such an honorific for me, completely unexpected. Again, I am not in on the end of how can I put this? I'm not in on the end of the. I know the significance because I'm deeply moved by this, but I'm not sure what the etiquette. I'm not sure what the etiquette is for this stuff, for these kind of things, because in all honesty, my brain capacity is whatever, and it's not that I didn't want to pay attention. It's just that I didn't pay attention to this kind of stuff, and I don't do a lot of shows, so I don't have all the ends of the etiquette for what to do with this stuff. But I want to keep it in the layout. I really do. And this one was so touching and moving to me. But again, I don't know the etiquette going forward. What if I'm allowed to put? I will figure it out. I'll talk to my friends who know this stuff and who are part of this group. So this guy, 100% for sure, he's going my layout. Because I know who gave me this. And it's going in my layout. It's going to be a place of prominence in my layout. Because this, anyway, I'm not talking about this. This guy is going to go in the layout permanently. So I got some ideas for that. And this all stems from, and this guy right here. Fantastic. So all those are going to be, for me, featured in layout until I'm told otherwise by the entities that gave them to me. It says that's not appropriate, because again, I don't know the etiquette. As soon as I understand their etiquette, I will understand more. But I think right now, from my understanding, my extremely limited understanding, they were given to me as a token of huge appreciation, and I accept it as such, and with much honor and humility, because I did not expect any of this for my layout. Because on another quick tangent, that layout's been around. Well, Jeff and I started doing classic space layouts in 2007, I think was the earliest one, where we just showed up and we put a bunch of base plates on and put stuff on the base plates. Just threw up classic space sets everywhere. And that was it. And people loved it. We were at the Toy Train and Doll Show, whichever one, spring, fall, Christmas, I don't know. But we were at one of them because we did a lot of those. And we brought a classic space layout. And it was a couple monorail, well, one monorail loop and just classic space sets. And Jeff's Train, which to this day I absolutely adore. And it went over exceedingly well, so we just kind of went with it. And so every show, Jeff and I would come up with a layout, bigger, better, whatever. Started making our own buildings, making our own mocks. The first one besides Jeff's Train was just strictly classic space sets out of the box, basically. Galaxy Explorers, 918s, whatever. But they're the original classic space. And then we started adding our own stuff. And so that's how the layout started, 2007. So we're talking almost, 30 years ago. Well, 20 years ago. My math is bad. And so this was going somewhere. This was supposed to go somewhere important. And so I keep on feeling myself that the people who have been to every show that I've been to are just basically sick and tired of Dave bringing this layout. Because they've seen it before. And I do know that specific shows do not appreciate you bringing the same mock this year as you did to their last show. They want something different every single time. And I respect that, and I understand it, and I think it's a good data point for shows, because if you're doing one show in the same city every single year, you're doing like a Lego convention. I'm not talking like the Toy Train and Doll Show that we used to do, because I can bring the same thing 100 times and nobody cares. But for a Lego show, a Lego convention, the same people are coming. Like the Brick World is going to have the same attendees overall, 50% or 60%, the same attendees every single year. And then it's going to, we saw that last year. We saw that the year before. We saw the year before that. So I bring my classic space layout, which has changed, but significantly not much in the past couple of years. I bring that to Chicago, and then I bring it to Chicago next year, and I bring it to Chicago. The 50, 60% of people are going to revolt. Why is Dave taking up floor space with the same thing we saw last year? So I'm at a point with the layout now where I'm never sick of seeing it because, I put so much effort and time and whatever. And to me, I make substantial changes to the layout, like the lighting this year, which was never there before. And I got some more ideas coming up. So I believe I significantly changed it enough to warrant doing the same show over and over again with the same layout, but with changes. But a lot of builders don't do that. What they do is they build something for 2023, and then their entire year is to build something for 2024, right? And I absolutely adore them for it. And I want to see the new stuff because there's a lot of builders out there that I respect, and they can just sit down and build something for a couple months and bring it to a show, and then take it home, take it apart and build something new and bring it to a show, and it's just beautiful every time they do that. I don't believe I have that in me to build something, I'll say, as significantly large as the classic space layout every single year, and not too many people do. but this is what I want to display. I also want to make a few GVCs. I used to make some GVCs back in the past when Has Unplugged first came up with it. RTL Toronto jumped on it. We had a few GVCs, nothing like substantive as like what Steve does, but we did that at a few shows. It was fun. I'm not personally interested in doing Castle like my friend Jeff, although I could do Castle. But right now, my focus has been for the last 20 years is classic space. And I put a significant amount of energy, quote unquote energy, weekends and nights and 10 minutes here and a half an hour there into the layout. And I keep on trying to improve it to make it worthy for a show for people to see. So that's what I've been doing. And until I am told otherwise, just like these guys, until I'm told otherwise, this is what I'm going to be doing. There may be a show at some time in the near future. I'm not bringing the entire layout, and I did this at Mississauga Comic Con or Comic Expo, where I just brought two sections instead of the entire 9 sections. I only brought 2, and I thought it went over fantastically well. Because it was like a 5-hour show or 6-hour show, and there's no way I'm setting up for 2 hours and then taking out for an hour and a half for a 5-hour show. So I have adapted the layout to be able to be made smaller for small shows and be the size it is now for weekend shows. There was a point in my history, because again, Jeff and I, when we did our original shows, we got up to 12.5 by 12.5 feet. That was the square. It's one of my favorite ad hoc layouts, and it wasn't ad hoc per se because Jeff and I spent months planning it. But it was ad hoc where you just, put, and that was one time only, and then we took it apart and never saw it again. And there was one brick fet, one of the last ones before I started making this one, where it was 7.5 by 18 feet. We went along the entire back wall. I did like that one. The problem for me, because I got to use 20% of my monorail track instead of the 5% that I use in the current layout. The problem with that one is that because it was 18 feet long, I didn't have enough stuff, quote unquote stuff, besides monorail, though they had tons of monorail. I did not have enough stuff, did not have enough buildings, did not have enough room in the van, did not have enough ships and whatever to carry there and get there in one piece. It was too big and too empty. And so that's when that 7.5 by 18 really, I thought about it before, but that was the conscious impetus for me to downsize the layout to something that I can set up consistently. I will say the 7.5 by 18 had the roots of the current layout, because the tower and the habitat and the rocket launch platform were all there in the one corner, and then it just sprawled over to like suburbia on the moon, way over to the other side. And so I said, and that was fun, but it took me 2 days. It took me Thursday and Friday, I think even Wednesday night, to set up. And again, I did not have the current setup where I have base plates taped to plywood. So, you know, me putting the 9 pieces of plywood down, that's less than a minute and I'm done the setup. This was each individual 32 by 32 landing plat or crater plate or whatever, 18 feet long and 7.5 feet. I don't know how many crater plates I brought. I had to put each, and it's on top of carpet too, which was a little bit, you know, because it doesn't stick as well and the pieces popped apart, and then I put the monorail on and things were popping all over the place. It took a long time to set up. No complaining, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I was, quote unquote, on my knees for 2 days just putting that together. So I said, this is going to stop. It worked well. I don't think I got any videos of that one, because usually I take videos of my layouts, even going back to 2007. You can go on my YouTube channel, 1,100 videos. This is 1,101. So, but you can go back and you can see that layout that we did in 2000s. Well, not the 2007 video, but 2008. There's a couple videos of our layouts back then. And I got pictures on my Flickr channel going right back to 2007. I don't have hardly any. I hardly have any pictures. My grammar just atrocious. I hardly have any pictures of that 7.5 by 18 feet, which is kind of sad. It was a busy weekend, and this is part of the impetus. I was so busy with that layout that I did not have time to take pictures. I did not have time to make videos. I did not have enough time to talk to people, which to me is the whole purpose of a convention. So this is one of my highlights of Bricks in the Sixth this year, and BrickFest when I wasn't putting together a layout for 2 days, is just sitting and talking to people. I'm past the time now where I want to put on the biggest display ever, and 7.5 by 18 was my biggest display ever. I'm past that time where people walk in, look, it's 18 feet long. Yeah, I get it. And people who do it, I'm looking at you, Blacktron Intelligence Agency. It's just absolutely gorgeous. But you're so busy. And I'm fundamentally, deep down, fundamentally lazy. I am. And my laziness is in the form of I want to be talking to people. I'd rather sit there and talk to people instead of like, and people are, you know, talking in my ear and I'm trying to put this thing together and I'm saying, I'd rather be talking to them than trying to put this together. So that was the impetus for a few reasons. Again, one of them is that I couldn't fit in the van anymore, right? The van is not big enough to carry this stuff. And then you have to get a trailer and blah, blah, blah. And no. So, and putting it together. So I downsized to the current one, which is 5 by 7.5, and it's perfect. And I think I have company. So, I'm going to, so the one last thing on this guy. The other thing that was very odd is that these things right here, there's a gap there. So it doesn't quite fit properly, even from the original instructions, because it goes into the back of the 1x1 headlight brick there, and the megaphone is gapped a little bit. And it's not a problem because the stud still is connecting, but it's the Lego geometry. You're so used to Lego geometry working out perfectly all the time that little gap was noticed by me. That was the second thing. So anywho, I do have some plans, and again, I am sussing out as I can the proper etiquette of this stuff, because I don't know what it is, what the etiquette is. But for me, I was so extremely honored and humbled by the official notice by other people and institutions and organizations that I admired greatly. And I don't know, I can't talk. I got company. Everybody else, take care. We have a long weekend. This is Sunday. This is going to be released Wednesday or Thursday, but we're on Sunday, and I have a holiday for tomorrow, so I don't know if I'm going to be down here. But if I am, I'll make a video. You guys all take care. Happy September. Hope everybody's being safe and doing safe, and take care of yourself. Talk to you soon.